Today is a beautiful day. I am going to be talking about why people struggle to learn a language or why learning English is so hard. But you can apply this concept to any language. Number one, it's good to be realistic with yourself. The older we are, the harder a language will be for us to understand or to speak. This is why children are able to speak languages so fast at such a young age. So don't compare yourself to a young 5-year-old or 6-year-old who's learning a language when you're an adult, because it's not fair and it's not the same thing. It is much harder to learn when you're older. Number two, people learn languages through apps like Duolingo and different applications, but there is a couple problems with this. Number one, when you focus a lot on these types of apps, you are reliant on having to constantly look at a screen to learn. So if I'm on an app and I'm trying to learn a language, if I'm not on the app looking at the screen, I cannot learn because I have to look at images in order to learn. The problem with that is if you're an adult and you're busy, you have children, you have a job, you may not have time to sit on your phone for 2 hours every day and look at images to learn. So finding applications that teach you audio is probably one of the best things you can do because you can listen. So for example, let's say I'm trying to learn English, but I speak Spanish. Let's do a few words. You could say sombrero or gapa, which is a hat. You can say mano or a hand. You can say zapatos, which are shoes. Get applications that focus on audio. This way you can actually listen and learn and still do your other task and not be fully reliant on images. That is one of the good ways that you can do it. Another problem with people when they want to learn is that people do not actually want to use the language they learn. So people will learn a language and then they never want to use the language. What's the purpose of that? It's like training for a sport and never using the skills that you learn in the sport to play. So you have to learn to use the language you're learning. So if you're learning Spanish and you're at the store and you have the opportunity to speak in Spanish to someone, use the opportunity and speak. Don't be embarrassed. It's okay to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all fail. Right now, I'm learning Portuguese and I speak very bad. Eu falo português. Muito bem, muito bom. It's very bad. If somebody were to listen to my Portuguese that speaks Portuguese, they would know I'm not a native. But that's okay. I meet many people who will say, oh, I don't want to talk because I don't want to have an accent. But we all have accents in our language, even people who are native. I am from California. My accent is different than a person from Texas. My accent in California is different than a person from Mississippi. So even if you are a native in your language, you have accents that are different. I can speak some Spanish, yo hablo español, y los acentos de los colombianos es muy diferente de los acentos de los mexicanos. So what I'm saying is the accent of the Colombians is very different than the accent of the Mexicans. So accents are not a bad thing. Everybody has them, even native speakers. Dominican Spanish sounds very different than Argentinian Spanish. For example, in the Spanish I learned, it's more Mexican Colombian based. We say playa, playa. But if you talk to an Argentinian person who speaks Spanish, they say playa, playa, playa. But I've always heard the word said as playa, playa. But Argentinians again will say playa, playa. It's much different. So having an accent is not a bad thing, and it's okay. So give yourself time also. You'll hear these things that will say things like, learn Spanish in 2 weeks, or learn Spanish in 30 days. And that's probably not realistic, unless you're just so smart, or you're willing to study 12 hours a day, and even then, it's probably not realistic that you are going to speak a language in 30 days or 2 weeks. But you know what is realistic? Saying in 6 months, I will be able to communicate and understand everything I'm hearing and communicate at least 50 to 60% back. Imagine if you learned one new verb a week. In 1 year, you would know 52 verbs. If you learned 52 verbs, how many more sentences could you say by knowing 52 verbs? You could say a lot. So imagine now if every Monday and every Friday you decided to learn one new verb Monday and one new verb Friday. If you did this, you would be able to speak so much of any language. And give yourself time to learn the language. You're not going to learn it overnight, and find ways to communicate with people in those languages. Find different groups that speak those languages, ways to get involved with that language. These are some of the things that you can do to better improve yourself. And if you're going to learn through apps, I suggest finding apps that are also audio based, not just apps that are visual, because unless you're looking at a phone, you cannot learn. But if you could put an app on, let's say, your computer and listen while you're still doing your other things in the house, you can learn another language like that as well. The apps that just focus on visual limit you, because the minute you're not looking at the app visually, you're not able to learn. So finding applications that also focus on audio are great. For example, if I'm learning Spanish and I have an app or a program that's audio and they say things like mano means hand, sombrero means hat, zapatos means shoes. I can learn words while I'm still doing things like working out, maybe making lunch, making dinner, cleaning. I still have the opportunity to learn even when I'm doing other tasks in the home. So those are also really good methods for you to learn as well. And don't be embarrassed to speak. So many people, like I say again, they're embarrassed to speak because they have an accent. They might say words wrong. But unless you're speaking, how will you learn? You can't. You don't learn a language to play apps and play games all day. You learn a language to be able to communicate. If you are interested in possibly doing English classes with me for free, feel free to leave me a comment and I can get to you and we can practice together. Thank you so much for your time.